Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have one article in this episode. I thought this episode warranted just the one article for your information this morning. There will be more episodes to follow, of course. The URL for this is in the description of the video for your convenience. This is off of Readout News, and it says, Judge Navarro says defendants have only 3 rights. Now, some of you may not be real familiar, but Judge Navarro happens to be the judge in charge of the case on the Bundy situation. And the trial for the first wave of defendants has been underway. I believe this week will be an off week for everybody in Nevada. They're taking a sabbatical while they get some things arranged for the trial right here in the middle of everything. Very convenient. Not so much. But anyway, here's what the article says. Todd Engel of Boundary County, Idaho, is among those fighting for his life in a federal courtroom in Nevada. Engel has been representing himself and do very well all by accounts in the Bunkerville standoff being held in Las Vegas. He is well-spoken, articulate, and personable. His arguments are well thought out and relevant. In describing the events on April the 12th of 2014, he told of how everyone thought it was over and the cows were to be released. It was festive. It was flags and cowboys, said Engel in his opening statement. It doesn't get more down home than that, he said. But they soon learned that it was not true. The FBI and the BLM were still there, threatening all the protesters. Engel had decided to represent himself after his attorney, John George, showed less than professional representation. There are reports of his attorney actually falling asleep during court and walking out in the middle of the proceedings. During this week's court proceedings, Engel cross-examined an FBI agent. The prosecution objected to Engel's questions over 50 times, yet Todd did not allow himself to get flustered. Towards the end of his questioning, Engel asked, "Is it true that Special Agent in charge, Dan Love, is under criminal investigation?" The prosecution blew a gasket. All 4 prosecutors stood up yelling objections. They claimed that Engel violated rules that prohibit the defense from discussing the criminal investigation of Love. All of this was stated in front of the jury. Judge Gloria Navarro not only sustained their objections, but she took it a step further. Navarro told Engel that he had lost his privilege to self-representation and must now allow his standby attorney to handle all court business. Engel was no longer allowed to talk in her courtroom. If this wasn't bad enough, Navarro went even further on Thursday. At the end of the day, Engel stood to make a plea to Judge Navarro. Contrite and soft-spoken, he begged to be allowed to defend himself in this trial. Attorney George was less than impressive throughout the day, spending only a few minutes on cross-examination of witnesses. Engel states that George did not comply with any of his requests and is not representing him well. George Navarro berated Engel and said that he cannot tell his attorney how to defend him. It's up to him. It's to his discretion. Not only did Navarro deny his request, she laid out the only rights that she would allow him to have. Did you hear that? She laid out the rights she would allow him to have. Navarro told Engel that she would decide if he would be given the privilege of delivering his own closing arguments. And that would be based on her interpretation of his behavior and attitude through the rest of the trial. Then she went on to tell him that you, as a defendant, only have 3 rights. She said he had the right to 1, plead guilty, 2, testify on his own behalf, 3, appeal his conviction. That's it. 3 rights. It's all he's allowed by Navarro's royal decree. This is the same judge that's banned the U.S. Constitution in her courtroom. Navarro refused to let him speak after this. She said that she would not listen to anything from him again, and he was not to address her again. As soon as she finished chastising him and stripping him of all his God-given, constitutionally guaranteed rights, she adjourned the court. And I'm told all of this was said on the record. These men have been incarcerated for a year or more. They have been denied bail. They have been denied a speedy trial. They have been denied the right to face their accuser, Dan Love, and so much more. They are being denied all protections under the U.S. Constitution by this federal judge. Where is the law of the land? It's not in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you pull up this article, you'll see that the tail end of it is the Bill of Rights. The amendments here, 1 through 10, spelling out exactly what our rights are, not what Judge Navarro, in her supreme capacity as basically an executioner, allows people to have. She's a travesty. She needs to be turned inside out over this. I want you to share this video far and wide. Everybody needs to know this. And you might sit back and rest on your laurels and think that this isn't important. It doesn't concern you because you're not personally involved. It's not on your doorstep. I got news for you. It could be you on trial. You want everybody else turning their back on you when it comes your turn to have to go through this? You want to be standing there and have some judge telling you that you only have 3 rights? You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to testify on your own behalf. And you have the right to appeal your conviction. And that's it. And not to address them anymore because they're not going to recognize you. Lower you beneath whale shit, basically, is what she's doing. Is that how you want to be treated? We have sat in complacency way too long here. It's time to stand up to these tyrants that want to sit on a bench and act like that they are God Almighty. It's time to let them know that we are people. We are not their slaves. If you like what I'm doing here, if you can appreciate the fact that you have rights, give this a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to understand exactly what's going on. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I highly recommend that you do so that you can stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.